I'm Jack Bradley in for Steve Lance tonight. President Trump signing executive orders today to bolster law enforcement and to publish a list of sanctuary cities and states. The White House says these jurisdictions are obstructing federal immigration enforcement. The administration is also highlighting a massive drop in illegal border crossing in Trump's first 100 days. NTD's White House correspondent Iris Tao has more.
And President Trump on Monday signing two executive orders on the border, one to bolster law enforcement and the other to publish a list of sanctuary states and cities that the White House says are obstructing the enforcement of federal immigration laws. The orders come amid legal fights between the administration and sanctuary jurisdictions. A judge in California just days ago blocked the administration from withholding funds from sanctuary cities. And the FBI earlier this month arrested a Wisconsin judge for helping an illegal immigrant evade authorities.
Sanctuary jurisdictions especially. If we can't arrest a bad guy in the safety and security of a county jail, and they're going to release him into community, that means we go into the community.
And as we mark nearly 100 days of Trump's second term, the White House highlights a 99.99% drop in illegal crossings in the first 100 days as one of Trump's main achievements.
Last year, 184,000 illegal aliens were released into the United States. Under this administration, 9. This is unprecedented success. The border secure. President Trump saving lives.
And to highlight a crackdown on crimes committed by illegal immigrants, the White House also gave us a list of 100 ICE arrests, and they lined the White House with images of illegal criminals with charges like murder, rape, and kidnapping who have now been arrested. Border czar Tom Homan emphasizing the need to find and punish every one of them.
I've talked to little girls as young as 9 years old that were raped multiple times by the cartel members. And when you get to your knees and you talk to that little girl and everything innocent and pure has been ripped from her, when you listen to the Laken Riley, 17 minutes, that young lady fighting for her life, don't just think, okay, a young woman died. Think of how she died.
And on Tuesday, President Trump will hold a rally in Warren, Michigan to mark his first 100 days in office. The border and the economy are expected to be key focuses. Reporting from the White House, Iris Tao, NTD News.
The end of President Trump's first 100 days is coming up tomorrow. NTD will have all-day coverage and analysis of his promises, progress, challenges, and a lot more on his second term, so don't miss it. White House border czar Tom Homan says that having a U.S.-born child won't shield someone from deportation. NTD correspondent Jason Blair reports.
If you choose to have a U.S. citizen child, knowing you're in this country legally, you put yourself in that position. You put your family in that position.
The White House responded to claims made by a federal judge who accused the Trump administration of deporting a 2-year-old U.S.-born child to Honduras with, quote, no meaningful process. White House border czar Tom Homan disputed the judge's statement, saying the decision lacked due process and that it was not the child who was deported, but that the child's mother chose to take the girl with her. Tom Homan said that having U.S.-born children does not make someone immune from being deported.
What we did is remove children with their mothers who requested the children depart with them. This was a parental decision, parenting 101. The mothers made that choice.
The Secret Service and ICE arrested 2 individuals on allegations of stealing Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem's purse. Kristi Noem told NTD in an email, this individual is a career criminal who has been in our country illegally for years. A primary suspect was arrested in Washington, D.C. A second suspect, authorities believe to be a co-conspirator, was arrested in Miami. More arrests are expected. No names have been released at this time, and charges have not been filed yet. Noem's purse was stolen while she was dining out on Easter Sunday. It contained $3,000 in cash, her keys, driver's license, passport, and Homeland Security badge.
The police with a search warrant demanding entry.
Federal agents raided an underground nightclub in Colorado and made dozens of arrests. The arrests were made Sunday morning in Colorado Springs. The DEA says that over 200 people were inside. Attorney General Pam Bondi says this morning DEA headquarters apprehended over 100 illegal aliens at an underground nightclub frequented by TDA and MS-13 terrorists. Cocaine, meth, and pink cocaine was seized. 2 people were also arrested on existing warrants. Reporting in Washington, D.C., Jason Blair, NTD News.
Joining me now to discuss the ICE raids in Florida and Colorado is John Torres. He's the president of Security and Technology Consulting for Guidepost Solutions and former acting director for ICE. And Alex Barrios as well, co-founder of Mi Vecino, a former senior advisor and campaign director for the Florida Democratic Party. Alex Barrios, John Torres, thank you both very much for joining us here today.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you for having me.
Now, the White House today announced it arrested 800 alleged illegal immigrants in the Miami area in 4 days, and another 100 during an underground nightclub raid in Colorado Springs. Now, many of these were alleged members of Tren de Aragua. Officials are calling it Operation Tidal Wave. Here's Caroline Levitt on it this morning.
We are in the beginning stages of carrying out the largest deportation campaign in American history. Operation Tidal Wave is a preview of what is to come around this country. Large-scale operations that employ our state and local enforcement partners to get criminal, illegal aliens off our streets.
John, how should we understand the scale of this raid compared to previous operations?
Yeah, this is really a one-of-a-kind operation, the first that we're seeing because of the different tools and the coordination with state and local law enforcement. And what I mean by different tools is that under Section 287G of the Immigration and Nationality Act, ICE has the ability to delegate arrest authority. And in the past, you've seen that used in jails or some task forces. But in this instance, you've seen since President Trump was inaugurated, that they have actually added additional 400 law enforcement agencies in the state of Florida that can now actually enforce immigration law. So working in that partnership, they went out and arrested over 800, nearly 900 people, as they reported this morning, using not only ICE and Customs and Border Protection, but they used the Florida Department of Law Enforcement, the state police, Fish and Wildlife, you name it. There was a number of agencies there that were all supporting this operation.
And Alex, I really want to get your response to this announcement of this operation.
Well, I definitely agree that it's unprecedented, but I believe it's unprecedented as well in the harm that it's doing. I'm in Florida, and I have to say that the use of all of these local governments and resources, people are feeling bullied. Local municipalities are being pressured into joining on board, and it's taking away our security in our communities. Police are not doing their jobs. They're doing the president's bidding. Florida is touted by the governor as one of the safest places in the country, and yet it's also at the same time touted as having a crime epidemic with a desperate need for these types of crackdowns to secure our border, despite Florida being nowhere near the border.
Well, in the Colorado operation, authorities say that over a dozen active military service members were arrested in the raid. They were allegedly working as security or as patrons, so as security for the alleged foreign terrorist gang members. So John, with your years of leadership in ICE, have you seen something like this before?
But in this case, what you're talking about is an underground illegal club that was peddling in drugs, crystal meth, cocaine, pink cocaine. There was prostitution going on, alleged by the DEA, who had this place under surveillance for several months. And so to have our own military officers from the military armed forces providing security for an underground illicit operation like that is actually a major betrayal.
And Alex, what are your thoughts on the level of the possible corruption that we may have active duty military members working for Tren de Aragua?
Well, I haven't personally seen that that's been proven in court, and America is still a place where laws matter and there's a presumption of innocence until proven guilty. And there seems to be policy enforced by allegation going on right now that is creating fear within our communities. People are afraid to go to work. They're afraid to shop. It's wreaking economic havoc in our communities. People that are in the immigration process are now afraid to go to their next appointments because they may be illegally deported and never see their kids again, which is perpetuating a cycle of people falling out of the process.
Border Czar Tom Homan this morning said that 3 U.S. citizen children were sent to Honduras because their illegal immigrant parents who were being deported requested that. Take a look.
If you choose to have a U.S. citizen child, knowing you're in this country legally, you put yourself in that position. You put your family in that position. What we did is remove children with their mothers who requested the children depart with them. This was a parental decision, parenting 101. The mothers made that choice. And I tell you what, if we didn't do it, the story today would be Trump administration separating families again.
Alex, what's your take on deporting illegal immigrant parents with U.S. children?
Again, it is just sending a message of fear throughout this country and throughout the Latino community. Latinos feel betrayed. A recent poll by Unidos shows support for President Trump at 37%, which is incredibly low from where he was last year. The separation of families is not what America is about. It's not what Latinos are about. We come to this country to be part of the American dream, to help drive the economy. And when people are afraid to show up to work, what does that do to our local economies?
And John, your response?
Yeah, it's easy to paint the picture. I've been hearing this in my entire career that all ICE does is separate families. When in reality, there's still another 700,000 people here with criminal records who've been convicted of crimes after crossing the border illegally in the first place. So there's a couple of things going on here. The fear that we're hearing out there, that I've heard this story for many years, it's understandable from the aspect that, yeah, you're here illegally in the United States. For those that are here legally, that have actually immigrated the right way, legally, that fear is not there, because they don't have to worry about being arrested by ICE. And so as Border Czar Tom Homan says, it really is the choice of the parent to take their child back with them. And one of the reasons why they do that is because at some future date, that U.S. born child who is a U.S. citizen can then petition to bring them back into the United States, versus if they leave them here and they don't go back willingly and they end up being deported, they end up with a bar set against them that by law, they're not allowed to immigrate back to the United States. They can't have that U.S. citizen child try to bring them back. So it's really been this back and forth tug for many years. But what we're talking about here is people that are crossing the border illegally. Not all of them are coming here for a better life. Many of them are coming over here to commit crimes. And that's really the bigger issue, talking about whether or not the community feels safe.
But securing the border has been one of Trump's first priorities and what got him elected. Several Democrats in Congress are also acknowledging the problem at the border as well. Here's House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries in a recent interview.
But you're correct in your assessment that I think what hurt us in the last election, first and foremost, issues connected to the cost of living, related to the economy, which I'm sure we'll get into. But secondarily, that we were slow to act as an administration and as a party on the southern border crisis. And it hurt us not simply with traditional Republican voters or swing voters, but in some segments of our own base communities and in communities of color, including right here in New York.
Alex, what's your take on these legal challenges to the Trump administration's efforts to deport illegal immigrants?
Well, I think the legal challenges are the result of an administration that thinks that it can govern by executive order and just scribble out something that then we have to come back and fix after the fact. And while we definitely want safe communities, a lot of the reason why Latinos feel betrayed by the deportations is because factually, people that are in the process and should not be getting deported are being deported. Now, my work at Mi Vecino, our organizers talk to the people in the Latino community every single day. We've had almost 1 million face-to-face conversations. And the reality is the disconnect between what's happening on the ground in our neighborhoods and what's going on in the policy discussion are vastly different.
And John, could these judges be preventing the Trump administration from carrying out campaign promises of keeping Americans safe, since many illegal immigrants are convicted of violent crimes?
Yeah, of course. We've seen that happen many times during my career over the last 40 years. What happens is they know that a president's coming into office. His administration has 4 years. It takes them sometimes a year to get set up, 2 years to accomplish something, and then another year they're working their way back out unless they get reelected. So many times what you see is this type of lawsuit activity to try to ride the clock out, just ride the wave, and then hopefully you move on to the next administration. So yes, that happens quite often. And really what we're seeing here is under this administration, they're acting with lightning speed, especially in the first 100 days here, to make do on their promises for enforcing immigration law, which for all intents and purposes was not enforced in the last 4 years. To see the number of people, over 2 million each year, just being allowed into the United States to apply for asylum, when in fact over 90% of them were not eligible and ultimately denied, but ICE was still not allowed to go out and arrest them. So in effect, you've created an amnesty through the back door where you allow people to just come right in and stay here, and then ultimately there's no enforcement activity to follow up on.
John Torres, Alex Barrios, thank you both very much for sharing your perspectives with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
A blackout brought much of Spain and Portugal to a standstill today, causing major disruptions at the main airport in Madrid and leaving millions of homes without power. Power is gradually being restored now, with airports and hospitals relying on backup generators. Spain has declared a state of emergency for regions that request it. Meanwhile, grocery stores had to switch to cash-only payments with credit card systems down, adding to long lines from customers panic buying. Offices closed and traffic lights stopped working. Mobile phone networks were affected, though some apps were working. ATMs also lost power. Spain's Prime Minister, Pedro Sanchez, confirmed that electricity has now been restored in parts of the country thanks to help from France and Morocco. The cause of the outage is unknown. The Portuguese National Cybersecurity Center issued a statement saying that there was no sign the outage was caused by a cyber attack.
Thank you for watching the Capitol Report. If you want to see our full broadcast, check us out at epochtv.com.